What's going on, everybody? My name is Chimpact, and welcome to week 9 of the Power Rankings. And at number 10, I have Duncan. Duncan this week really struggled to find himself a way to just win the game. Even in the late game, even in the middle game, he had very good opportunities to win the game, and he wasn't able to just put an end to the game. For example, when he had the Choice Band of Weavile in and he had Stealth Rock up, instead of staying in with the Tyranitar, he could have actually just double switched into Zygarde or another one of his threatening Pokemon, because if you look at his opponent's team, there was no Thousand Arrows resist in there at all. There was no ground resist. So he could have just went on to that, had that with Stealth Rocks up, and there was absolutely nothing that he could do. The Zygarde was also Yachi Berry, so like even if he did try to switch out to Weavile, then it was going to be able to take the hit anyway. And he had extreme speed anyway, so like there was like Zygarde was just in a prime position to be able to win the game. He had very specific sets as well, like Cobra, Jirachi, and Yachi Zygarde to deal and target the Weavile, but he didn't take advantage of that. He had other ways to deal with the Weavile with Stealth Rock and Sand, and being able to just put it in positions to where the attacks that it used weren't that effective. But when you have sets like that and you're up very significantly, you need to go into those Pokemon, because when you have specific sets like that, they're not going to really able to do that much outside of being able to target that Weavile. And he really suffered as a result of that, because the Blaziken was able to just overcome everything and be able to win the game. And even when the Blaziken was in against the T-Tar, he had a chance to win the game, because there's only two moves that Blaziken has that can OHKO the Zygarde. It's High Jump Kick and its Superpower. And if he does have the Superpower to be able to kill the Zygarde, then its attack and defense are going to drop to where Jirachi is going to be able to take the hit. It's going to be able to take a -1 Flare Blitz, so the Jirachi was going to be able to take the hit, as well as the fact that he went for 1,000 arrows instead of 2 extreme speeds. 2 extreme speeds was going to be enough to knock out the Blaziken, as well as the fact that if you got an extreme speed crit, there was a chance that it could knock out the Blaziken. So just upping your odds of being able to win the game is beneficial for you as well. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They're like, okay, I can kill him if like there's a Azumarill late game and you can 2-hit kill the opponent, or you can get a crit and kill it, or you can go for liquidation and always kill it. You should probably just go for the Aqua Jet twice, because you have a chance to get the crit, obviously. So in the late game, there was the chance that he had to win the game by pivoting into Blisseythlon to deal the 50% with High Jump Kick or get the drop by going back into Zygarde, forcing the Superpower, and then going into Jirachi to win the game. So I feel like just winning a game and then losing a game the next week is not the way that Duncan really wants to play, obviously, but he really needs to get himself a win streak to be in the contention to just get momentum going into the playoffs. So at number 9, I have in Vivid Color. He joins the top 10. I think this is the first time I put him in the top 10 outside of the preseason and the postseason power rankings, I mean. And he's slowly creeping in with one of the best differentials in the league. I believe it's at plus 23 right now, and that's at tied with number 2 with Envy, I think. And I want to be a little bit critical here, because his past 3 opponents, he was 3-3 3 weeks ago, and his past 3 opponents have a combined 6 wins. And to put that into perspective, his final 4 opponents have a total of 21 wins. So he has his work cut out for him in the final games of the season. And because he's 6-3 right now, and his last couple opponents have very good records, he really needs to get 1 or 2 wins to guarantee a spot in the playoffs. I think 7 or 8 wins should get you there, and he's at 6 right now, so 7 wins should probably get him there. And if he loses all 4, I don't know if he's going to be able to make the playoffs. The thing that I like about the way that he's playing and his team that he's using is that you would think that Hawlucha would be getting a majority of his KOs, but he hasn't gotten a single KO this season. He's been able to use his Pokemon really well. I feel like his team is pretty top heavy, but this past week he uses lower tiered Pokemon very well, and I'm really impressed at how he uses Bulu. I really like Bulu as a Tapu. It's one of the greatest tier 1s in my opinion, and he showed off how great it was this week against Steve by being able to use it as a great pivot. And Grassy Terrain against Rain is obviously incredible, especially with that water type. I mean, the water resist that it has. So at number 8, I have Leo. Leo moved up 1 rank, but it didn't feel like he earned that because he lost this week against Envy. And even though Envy is a very strong opponent, he made a lot of misplays throughout the game. The thing that I do want to mention is that everything that could have went wrong for Leo in this game went wrong. A lot of things that went wrong weren't very egregious, but they did add up. The Hurricane miss, the Air Slash flinch, the full pair in the beginning of the game. it's not like they're back-to-back crits, but they do affect the game and how it's played. So the most egregious misplay that I think that he had, well, there were two, but the first one was not as bad. He didn't play around the Azumarill that well. He was up against the Heracross with Silvally, and he could have clicked U-turn or Flamethrower, and that was the option that he had against the Heracross. The Heracross had Substitute, so if he U-turned against the Substitute, it wasn't that good. But if think about the position that you want to be in. Do you want to U-turn against Azumarill and face Azumarill with whatever Pokemon that you want to switch out into, and potentially deal with the Heracross behind the sub? Or do you want to Flamethrower an Azumarill and have to face an Azumarill that's in with leftover slowly healing itself? The position, like, a Heracross behind a Substitute is not as deadly as the Azumarill, and he didn't acknowledge that, and it really cost them so much HP on his entire team. Azumarill just put in way too much damage, and it was way too powerful. And like, essentially, Azumarill is much more threatening than Heracross against his team. Additionally, in the late game, he had an Adamant Lopunny that guaranteed won Leo the game, but he sacked his Sceptile. He didn't know every spread on the Sceptile, but there's a high chance to 3-kill the Sceptile with a good amount of HP investment, and I'm pretty sure that with his Adamant Lopunny and his attack investment, that 3 40 base power moves, Fake Out, Quick Attack, in whatever order that he wants to use them in, is going to be able to knock out the Sceptile that MB had. But instead, he was kind of tunnel visioned into going for the 50-50 with the Manaphy, and even the 50-50 that he had wasn't a true 50-50, because he had to win 2 50-50s in a row, because if he switched out, then it was another 50-50, so it wasn't a true 50-50. So I don't believe he calced the fact that Lopunny could 3-kill the Sceptile, and I think that essentially cost him the game, as well as the fact that he had Reuniclus. He had multiple opportunities to go into Reuniclus to get more regen to be able to deal with the Sceptile, but he didn't do that, which it wasn't that bad, but like I feel like that would have been a little bit more optimal. So Leo is number 8. At number 7, I have Pokemon. I don't think that Pokemon played this week that bad outside of his lead. If you made a better lead, then I don't think that he got 6-0'd. I think it was just Wolf preparing extremely well, and I'll talk about that game when I do discuss Wolf's. That's basically all I have to say about this game in Pokemon's perspective. Under the radar, this game was very odd. Even after watching the game, I am still surprised that Raichu was able to get all these kills. It was an excellent bring on his part, because only Scolipede on Elliot's team is capable of outspeeding it, and the party on Elliot's team can't deal with Raichu either. He played really weird around the girder. I don't know why you're using Zygarde to deal with it, but knowing that Raichu was capable of winning the game like that, it does make a little bit of sense as to why he wanted to chip away at it with the Zygarde to be able to win with the Raichu, and that's pretty much what he did. And Under the Radar has some really strong performances this season, but I especially like this week. He usually uses Darmanitan and Zygarde to muscle through his opponent's team, but being able to see how effective Raichu was against his opponent's team shows how strong he is as a coach, and I really like that. So at my next coach is number 5, A-Drive. A-Drive matched up against a Trick Room team this week, and it just wasn't enough for his opponent. Deathly needed a little bit more offense to break through A-Drive's stream. Charmantron was good, but not good enough. Dan put himself in great positions in and outside of Trick Room, and especially with the Kyurem when he brought it in. He was able to do so much damage with it, and he put himself in scenarios where he played around a lot of Deathly sets. I believe he had an opportunity to Fusion Bolt to sell a Steela, but decided against it just in case it was a Clonberry, so that just goes to show you A-Drive's awareness when he does play, and it was just a great win on A-Drive's part this week. But the other coaches that are in the top 4 just had a very, very strong performances, so I can't put them too high. Number 4, I have Wolf. I really wanted to put Wolf in the top 3, but because of his performance this week, it was one of my favorite games of the season so far. Every single one of his sets that he had on his team served a purpose, and he executed his game plan to pretty much perfection. He set up Toxic Spikes early on, which he didn't really need for the Blastoise to be able to win the game, which was his main win con. But if Vaporeon had Roar, setting up Toxic Spikes could hedge against that. And I absolutely love the red card tech on Tornadus. Tornadus doesn't really need an item because of its regenerator ability. It's just so powerful, and it helped him gather information while also disrupting Pokemon at the same time. The Blastoise set was reminiscent of his set against Joey, but he had near perfect coverage for his opponent's team this week. Dark Pulse dealt consistent damage to everything, while Aqua Jet was perfect for Diancie, Zam, Diggersby, and if the Salamence was weakened, it could finish it off with an Aqua Jet. Substitute stopped status and helped get another attack off if you could maintain the substitute, and I absolutely just love this performance by Wolf. It was a work of art. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Excellent job by Wolf. At number 3, I have Envy. Envy got a great win against Leo this week, but like I said with Leo, he was pretty fortunate throughout the game. Envy said that the Flame Body canceled out the Hurricane Mist, but a Hurricane would have enabled so much more of Leo's team to be able to threaten the Yazoo, so it couldn't have been brought in so freely, and he had great prep with the Facade anyway, so because he got burned, it wasn't really that big of a deal because he had counterplay to the burn. Envy has been cutting it pretty close so far with the wins that he's had lately ever since his loss to Gator. And I feel like he has superpowers where his opponents don't bring their best against him. His one loss this season was against Gator, and Gator brought a meme team with Mono Choice team. So, speaking of Gator, he's number 2. Kept his win streak alive and put on a very strong show against Jodar. He did get pretty fortunate in the battle with Curse Body, activations, and some dodges, I think, with Power Whip. But I believe it would have only made the differential a little bit closer, because when the Venusaur revealed its set, there was nothing that it could really do to prevent Keldeo from being able to win the game because it wasn't like a bulky Giga Drain set. So he was just going to be able to wear down the Venusaur, and eventually Keldeo was going to be able to win the game inevitably. And his 8-game winning streak so far is the second longest this season, second only to the number 1 coach, Pokegame. Joey, what can you really say about Joey's performance this week that like hasn't been said already? He's won with Comfy, Volcarona, Gallade, Breloom, Toxic War Breloom. So why not throw in a sweep with Kabutops in there for fair measure? So I looked at Joey's comment section, and there was a comment made by Kisarez, and he said, "This is shaping up to be such an amazing season. The gameplay, the novelty of the sets, playing so solidly and going on and over, providing excellent entertainment and insight in team builders and battling." And that's exactly how his season has been going so far. I don't think Joey has been in danger of losing a single game this season outside of maybe against Mr. Talent when he went for the charge beam against the Gyarados, because if you miss the charge beam, that's a 90% chance, by the way. And he was in danger of, like, it wasn't even like he was in danger, like he was threatened to maybe lose the game, where like if he missed the charge beam against the Gyarados, he would have been in a bad position. And that's pretty much the only time this season where that happened. And maybe if Wolf had Zen Headbutt over Liquidation on his Blastoise. But that's the coach's decision, not Joey's decision. His opponent's coach, I mean. So that's it for the power rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week for week 10. See ya.